If you see a being like Pitt, you might want to run for the hills because he'll just kick you into some spikes like that. Image Comics presents an Extreme Studios production, Supreme. Do I see Pitt and Supreme in the same comics? Uh-oh. Imagine being a being of such terrifying might that when you harm him or overload him with pain, he simply feeds off that pain and destroys you even when you're hurting him, and it ends up backfiring against you. That's the type of being Pitt is. Let's get started. Seems to have some type of psychic abilities too. Beings like Pitt have an interesting origin. Pitt is basically a human-alien hybrid created by some alien race on the planet Creed. As you can see here, the Creed Imperial Stronghold. Human and alien DNA. Part of the reason why Pitt is so strong, because these normal Creed warriors were 600 pounds, 8 feet tall, each with the strength of 10 sumo wrestlers. So they already wasn't normal. It's like Pitt is on crack compared to the average of them. But when he's saying warriors that are not normally, that are out of the ordinarily strong themselves and use firearms and lasers and stuff, saw Pitt with these big guns tried to shoot Pitt, even though they was fully armed Creed warriors, it didn't seem to matter because after all, Pitt was made to be like the ultimate killing machine. They was not mighty enough to subdue the mighty Pitt himself. It appeared that Pitt seemed to be more alien than human, considering he doesn't even have a nose as it seems. And here's a summary of what I just literally said. If you want to read it like this: in the distant planet Creed, a son is born into the Emperor. That's the Emperor and his genetic laboratories. The newborn, known only as Pitt, bursts free. Oh yeah, and by the way, there are other beings that are comparable to Pitt, like his twin brothers and stuff like that. So if I bring them up later on in the video, that's why, because they're important to figuring out how strong Pitt is. Evil half-brother, Roth. Yeah, he's going to be brought up later on. One can say Pitt went through his fair share of power progression over the years. Later on in this video, I'm going to talk about this crazy foe like this he had to get ready for. In preparation for this extra dimensional being, he actually had help. This hulkish-like figure can crush rifles with his vice grip, can smash you through the roof with his strength. Large rocks like this he can lift and throw. Stupid guns. I love when powerhouses are creative with their strength, like wrapping you up in street signs, or just tossing around motorbikes, something Super Soldier Tier should be able to do, and he's way above that tier in strength. Hey, little munchkins, yeah, y'all ain't ready. And when it comes to women fighting, he likes enjoying his hugs, but still punches them back. They even say he's too strong. But it is to be noted that she's out of the ordinarily strong woman. Heck, she even picked up Pitt above her head. Keep in mind, Pitt weighs 1,000 pounds. And these soldiers to Pitt are easy to him. Slice you. On top of his strength, he has claws. They can do this to an alternate reality invincible. Implication of his strength, doing this into an alternate reality invincible. It's kind of hard to tell if this is canon or not though, but I'm still going to put it in the vid. Why not? He doesn't have that many showings anyway. In this example, he tears open an alien monster. He uses them to climb sometimes. Shows his agility as well. No problem tearing up a bunch of cyborg. Why would y'all try to shoot Pitt? He can just tear open a van with his raw power. Big bulky battle suits or mechs in that degree ain't gonna cut it against them too, just rips them apart too. Poor werewolf, almost feel bad for him. Can also use his claws to climb up ice. Yeah, they're that sharp. Seems to not be a slowpoke because these mech thingies tried to blast him, he dodged them and then blitzed. And his agility, then they ended up shooting each other and getting out the way in time. He can jump really high. In this occasion, jumping across buildings seems to have the resistance against certain elements, like withstanding being hit by lightning. When getting shot with an Uzi to the face, it seems to give him like a paper cut. It doesn't seem to go through his skull or nothing. Flesh wound, one could say. Like, it seems like bullets can penetrate his skin, but it don't really seem to do too much damage, if you know what I'm saying. Guy hitting the skull with this flail doesn't seem to do much at all. Y'all get blitzed. Either get off of me, gets hit by a telephone pole, actually got hit by ray gun blast and was good, or being smashed through ice and he's literally good. Afterward, he can take a lot of damage from different cyborgs and stuff. It seems to give him like skin wounds and he just kind of recovers real quick, then proceeds to punch the head off of the said cyborgs after he endures all this assault with punching power. When it comes to Pitt's raw strength, it's literally stated that his legs are strong enough to lift the Brooklyn Bridge, and that's totally believable. The Brooklyn Bridge weighs well over 10,000 tons. That means he can lift easily 26 million pounds, not to mention in strength. Giant robots that's this much bigger than him, he can not only lift them up, but he can even toss them far distances, showing that he can lift more than what these bots are weighing. Pitt is strong enough to battle beings that can rip through tank armor with their bare hands. Pitt is so strong, the government was considering using a nuclear weapon, but they said, nah, we want to use another weapon that's not going to have as much fallout or as many casualties. The president is unwilling to use a nuclear device against a creature while it's near populated areas. So instead of a nuke, they said we're going to use this sunspot defense satellite that was massive as heck when it comes to blast power, As you can see right here, Pitt got hit by all of that mess, which kind of looked like a baby nuke itself, creating a crater that massive, not as big as a city or nothing, but like you see the humans, you see the massive crater, basically showing it didn't cause too much damage than some of his skin getting cut off. So it's quite clear Pitt is insane. He's strong enough to claw his way through dropship. A good way to understand Pitt is to get an understanding of beings that are related to him, like the God Emperor of the Creed Empire, for example, and the reason why Pitt got experimented on and was created in the first place, and Pitt's older half-brother, and how powerful they are or destructive are they. Narratively speaking, it's implied that they can cause city-busting destructive levels of power. They didn't say how they would destroy Connecticut. They just kind of was talking about their fight on how there might not be a Connecticut no more after the battle is over. Not to mention, an inferior clone to Pitt was able to rip through a nuke-proof bunker like it was a piñata. His half-brother, for example, Pitt's brother was a threat to the entire planet, and Pitt and his brother seem to be pretty freaking relative. Long one-on-one panels. It's just deep into the lore. And when it comes to this guy, aka somebody that one could say that's Pitt's father, Zoivod, Lord of the Creed Empire, is the oldest of his species, including Pitt and his brother, stated to be the most powerful of them. Pitt has no problem slugging it out with his own kin and slugfest type stuff. In this, so this gives you an idea of how strong Pitt is. When it comes to fighting, he has a little knowledge on using long-range weaponry, if that makes sense. Yes, you see Pitt wielding a firearm. That's funny. Imagine Pitt coming at you and he got a freaking melee weapon. Then you disarm him from the melee weapon, then he has his claws, which is still technically a weapon to slice you with it, and his ridiculous strength. It's crazy that he has a pretty good healing factor too. Like when he got hit with this big old blast laser and his skin was peeled, but you see how his no hair right here showed that he started to heal literally a panel later. Even his hair and everything started to grow back. As each panel goes, you can see more skin appearing on his face. He can even survive in the vacuum of space. I mean, he was in self-imposed exile in Shimmer space. Narratively speaking, the mightiest being that Pitt has ever fought in canon is probably this extra, yeah, you see it correctly, planet in hand, this extraterrestrial, extra dimensional being. This creature is the other Nexus. It is called Thul the Necromancer. It can travel between parallel timelines at will, and it has used this ability to hunt and devour its doubles from every reality, adding their life force to his own. Now he goes through the multiverse for other beings of power, seeking to consume them as well. When the Necromancer arrives in your reality, it will seek you out. It desires more than your death. It wants your soul. And Pitt got in a fight with such an extraterrestrial being. There was even a point where Pitt was getting overpowered by this said being, but he did at least counter the being and even made this top tier being retreat. Here's a being that is a threat into the entire multiverses. Notice how they use multiverse with an S, not multiverse. Multiverse is. If defeated, Thul may rend the veil of all reality. This being has consumed the planet, devoured the souls of sentient sons, aka sons that are literally alive. He's fought and consumed them, adding their power to his own. So Pitt is already fighting a being that has like the power of being that has absorbed planets, different versions of himself he's absorbed power from. Pitt is having an encounter against all of this. Luckily, Pitt was able to counter this ridiculous being by using these like ghost warriors against him to, one could say, overload him or something, or hurt him with his own power. Using his own power against him, Pitt did, to make him retreat. This being was so obsessed with power, it literally went multiverse hunting for other versions of itself to consume them and take their own power from other versions of himself in alternate dimensions or reality to become the ultimate version of himself, to where no other ones exist but him. He took other versions of himself and consumed them versions into himself. Like, that's ridiculous. Just to give you a scope of what Pitt had to fight, he fought a being that consumed other versions of himself, consumed sentient stars, consumed planets, all type of things. Pitt still countered this little soul manipulation crap he was doing to Pitt, and Pitt used his own souls against him regardless of all of that, turning his power against him. Like, we really getting into some cosmic being territory. Boy looking like the Phantom Stranger, looking like Doctor Strange, looking like Odin, but that's none of my business. They even do some interesting dialogue, talking about like the extra dimensional beings that have pre-created worlds and can create his own realities. This being was going to slowly devour everything over the course of time, like literally the multiverse. He's went to reality, hopping to hopping, defeating their champion. This is like Supreme in like a depowered state when he had to use Mjolnir. The fight is still pretty entertaining to watch, I would say. Like seeing these two powerhouses slugfested though. Strength, good occasion of showing Pitt punching that far, still slugging, it out. Mjolnir, Supreme. Pitt even says, give me this freaking hammer. Hey, big creature. Punch you, big creature. Like on some curb stomping stuff. Even superhumans, he can fight more than one. Because of strength, attempted to arrest him, he ended up escaping. Yeah. But he came back, punch you through the roof. I don't know why these mechs just repeatedly want to keep getting their arms ripped off. Robots. He has fun destroying battle training robots. That's funny. Obliterating them in the process. Big creatures like this, Pitt has no problem fighting it and gets the job done. Your armor's gotta go. What are you gonna do now, Mr. Helpless? Never forget that Pitt has faced off against the Incredible Hulk in like a little crossover comic event. Still gonna show it for the heck of it because, yeah, he's kind of meant to be a bruiser based on all the information I've given you throughout this entire video. This seems pretty accurate in the sense because they kind of have a lot of similarities. Respect Pitt's power though. But what do you guys think? That's just about gonna do it. Did you know Pitt was this strong? Respect them. But I also got to give a lovely shout out to those that took the time to donate to the channel. Helps out a lot, believe it or not. Respect Pitt.